Welcome back to my Tetris-Like tutorial in Unreal Engine 5.3.1. Alright, so this time I decided that I'm going to set up the queue. I was a little more prepared with my video this time, so I already copied over the code that I needed. Let's get out of Cubo Minnow so that we can focus on just the things that I've done. All right, so I created a new function called initializeQ, and essentially all this is doing, it's in protected. All it's doing is this used to be sitting in begin play, but I figured it's more descriptive to have its own like actual function. So all it's doing is going through and adding 4 tetraminnows to the queue. I also added this add tetraminnow to queue function. This one was ported directly from the old project. So we're looping through the entire queue. We're grabbing each tetraminnow, getting its location, adding 300 to it, and then setting the new position. And then it's going through and adding it. So we're grabbing a random number between 0 and 6. We're inserting at position 0 so that q.pop always gets the oldest one. I don't think last is the right one. Let's change this. So insert at position 0 in the queue so that pop returns FIFO, first in, first out. All right, and then based on what it gets returned from the tetraminnow type, this could probably just be an int 8. And it's always going to be positive, so let's make it a uint 8. All right, and so then based on that, we're grabbing what we set up last time, which is our T subclass ofs. So all of these here are the tetraminnow types that we had set up in previous videos. All the blueprints for those already exist. And then I'm just going q.insert, get world, spawn actor, the type that it is based on the random number returned. I'm using the component location of the tetraminnow spawn, so it's the bottom of the queue. And I forget what this dot 0, what this 0 does. Oh, that's right. Insert requires you to put an index in. So I'm always inserting at index 0. That's what I was talking about up here. All right, so that's all set up. There's a different thing for each of the tetraminnows, 0 through 6. And that about covers it for setting up the queue. All right, so I already launched the editor in debug mode, but before we do anything else, I also wanted to draw your attention to something we didn't set up in the last video, and that is the tetraminnow types. I had to go through to every single one of these and set them to the blueprint of the corresponding tetraminnow. Oh, which also reminds me, I did one other thing as well. So our tetraminnow type did not have a set position function yet. So I went into tetraminnow base here. I ported over the set position, and all it's doing is setting the actor location to the new position and then setting the blocks. Because if we just use set actor location from the player board, it would move it but not move the blocks. If you recall, tetraminnow base is nothing more than a placeholder location, essentially, that we're using to shift around the actor blocks that are of block base. So for them to actually move and follow the tetraminnow, we have to always call set block positions, which is being set up in each of our individual tetraminnows. But set block positions is something that we can call from the base class of Tetramino, and set actor location, it's just an actor function. So that handles the Tetramino base, setting the block positions and the cue from the player board. So after you go through and add all of these, there was one other thing that you needed to set up that I missed the first time that I did this, was even though I went into world settings and set the default pawn class, what's interesting about that is if you set that up and drag one of your player boards into the level, it won't possess that one. It will just take your camera wherever you're at and reinstantiate a new player board. So if you drag one in and you want it to be possessed by the player, even though we have it set up in the world settings, you still have to go in and set auto possess player 0, because we're only a single player game, and it's under the pawn options here. Rest of the stuff, it isn't necessary for us to know yet, but now when I hit play, my Tetraminos will be instantiated. My queue will be full of the 4 different Tetraminos chosen randomly. So every time I do this, they should be generally different, which it appears that they are. Fantastic. And was there anything else? Oh yeah, let's eject and click this. And we exposed our queue to be visible anywhere. So all of our Tetraminos will set up, will show up in here, our entire queue anyway. So that's a little handy debugging thing that's set up because we made these visible anywhere. Probably not necessary at this point. We could probably remove the queue and just make it, I'm not even sure it would need to be a U property. Actually, it probably would, but it doesn't need to be visible anywhere. So U property doesn't need to be visible. But I don't know, I'll leave it in there just because it's handy. But yeah, so that's about it. That's all I wanted to cover for this video, was reinstantiating the queue. It's just adding a new Tetramino and then looping through the old ones and moving it up, and every time it'll add it to the bottom. I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's anything that I wasn't quite clear about, let me know in the comments and I'll try and go back over it. I usually do these videos in batches, so yeah, it might be a little difficult to go back and clarify things, but I'll do what I can. If you have any questions, let me know. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.